Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Gene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. Here we are in December, and Christmas is coming, and we got Santa Claus right here with us. Now, actually, this is David Evans. David Evans is with the Emerald City Medicinal Delivery Service, and you've been functioning now, what, a year?
Since actually the 1st of October.
Oh, okay, okay. And how's it going?
It's going very well, actually. We have continued membership mounting. We're building up to our 300th member as far as that goes. So we've been building steadily as far as that goes. We've had a lot of local growers embrace us and bring in their products as well as their flowers. And we've been blessed to have a large number of organic growers approach us in that.
Mm-hmm.
So
excellent.
yeah.
Wow. And you have different medibles too?
We do. We have a really vast array of medibles, including product line from a Cordon Bleu trained chef. So
wow,
quite good quality.
Oh, that's incredible. I know in different states where they've been at it a lot longer, and I don't know, I've heard they have like soda pop. I mean, it's just incredible the different things they have. But everything you have is all made locally, I believe, right?
Indeed, yes,
yeah.
indeed.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we're actually, it's funny you mentioned soda pop. We're actually in product development with an organization over on the coast, a co-op that's creating a soda line.
Oh, right. Great.
So we're hoping to be able to, give that offering to our patients soon enough.
That's excellent. Well, that is great. Because so many patients really need it to be able to take it internally, other than as a delivery system to be able to eat it. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So I know you on the show last time you mentioned that you had talked to law enforcement and made the contacts and talked to everybody, and that went well. Any more problems or heard from anybody? Or?
Indeed. Well, not officially, really. We've had no kind of negative feedback thus far. And we do think that we were visited by some folks from the DEA, just kind of checking us out and seeing if we were, in fact, clinging to our values and making the program run the way we legally, believe it should. And it was difficult. I mean, they brought in people that, or at least we suspect they sent in people that had really compelling stories and people that we really very much wanted to help, but they didn't have the appropriate paperwork, and we're not going to jeopardize the program for a particular individual. It does everyone else out there in the medical cannabis community a disservice.
Well, that would be tough. You want to help people, and yet you got to, that'd be want to help people, but scared to help them because you don't have the paperwork, and that'd be quite a position to be in. Wow, that's incredible. So, are people hearing about word of mouth or advertising? Or what's your most common way of being people finding out about you? Have you found out that?
It's kind of multiple avenues. They've seen us on Cannabis TV. They've read about us in the Eugene Weekly. They've seen the news piece that was done by KEZI. And in addition, we have an online presence with emeraldcitymeds.org as well as on leafly.com.
Excellent. Yeah, that's great. Education is what it's all about, and we have our Just Say No flyer. I got to remember to get you some of those copies tonight. I keep forgetting to get those to you, but I've added the Emerald City Medicinal Delivery Service and the Just Say No flyer.
Excellent.
Both in the clinic side, because you guys have clinics, and also on the side to where you're helping patients for resources. So you guys are listed actually on both sides of the fence.
Excellent, excellent. And that does cover much of what we do, as well as educating the public in general.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's great to have clinics where people can go if they don't have a doctor that'll sign their papers. I had a really neat experience. Some friends up in Salem wanted to get a card, and I asked him if he thought I started telling him about the clinics, and then I mentioned to him, I said, well, do you have a doctor who'll sign your papers? And he said, well, I don't know. And So I told him how to talk to the doctor, explain the law, explain how the law was written to keep the doctor out of trouble. And then also explain to them that they don't prescribe, because that's such a common misunderstanding that people don't know really how it works, and they're thinking that they keep talking prescriptions and even recommendations. And I come back and say, no, it's neither one. It's all the doctor's doing is reviewing your medical records to see if you have a medical condition that would qualify you to use marijuana legally in the state of Oregon.
Exactly.
I like to say, this is my own little tongue-in-cheek joke. So far, I haven't pissed off any patients that I know of, but I like to say I'm not lucky enough to have a medical condition that allows me to use marijuana legally in the state of Oregon. You know, of course, who wants the malady? You know, but
Exactly. Yeah.
but it's
no
all
fun.
my own little tongue-in-cheek. But I'm a card holder. I'm a caregiver, and that gives me the protection that I need, and so it's perfect for me.
Excellent.
Because I can transport, possess, help other patients. You know, and I've been stopped twice. I had cops say that they smelled pot and asked me if I had a card, and I showed it to them, and they were just happy and they were just happy. They just walked away smiling, you know. I thought, wow, the card works. You know, all these years I've been working on it, it finally paid off. And paid off for me. You know? But and also, David, I want to talk real quick. You went up to the rules Rules Advisory Committee for the dispensary.
Yes.
Dispensaries that are coming in, and so what's your quick oversight on that?
Oh, I'm very pleased that the OHA committee has kind of put the flesh on the bare bones of the new law 3460 in terms of specifying what kind of testing needs to be done. They've chosen a stance which I think is going to be beneficial for patients, not merely to test as the law required for pesticides, mold, and mildew, but also to test for THC and other cannabinoids, specifically CBN. So it's, I think, going to be very helpful for medical therapy and for patients to be able to ascertain which strains are going to be effective for them, and increasingly why it is that they're beneficial for them too.
The testing is especially critical, because that's been one criticism on our opponents, saying that, well, you don't know what's in pot, you don't know how it's been grown, you don't know. And so with this testing coming that's available now, that's incredible. Not only can you check for the bad things in your medicine, but also you can find out if it's got the CBDs, for instance, if you need, and that, you know. So anyway, it's incredible what's available and what's happening.
It's very encouraging. I think
Yeah.
this is really going to pay tremendous dividends for the medical cannabis community, definitely.
Yeah, yes, excellent. Well, that's great. So is there anything you wanted to talk about your delivery service and clinics? Anything you wanted to bring up that we haven't covered, or that people should know about?
Well, increasingly we're diversifying our various medical product lines for patients, and so we're hopefully have enough different opportunities and strains and dosage methods for patients to be able to find the right fit for them, whether it's something as simple as a particular type of strain and a particular delivery system, or it has to be more holistic and has to involve other kind of lifestyle adjustments too. You know, we're happy to work with patients to find the best result for them so that they can enhance the quality of their life, and in a best case scenario, maybe mitigate the negative consequences too.
Excellent. Yes, finding strains that will benefit for the patient, and that's so important, because there's so many strains out there, and strains act differently to different people. I mean, there's a whole bunch of variables out there, so it's great that a patient can go somewhere and actually work on getting something that really helps them the most.
Yeah, we're very much committed to targeting, you know, what our specific patients' needs are. We're not going to, you know, throw the same kind of solutions at everyone in a certain category that may be dealing with fibromyalgia or migraines or what have you, because each body processes that medicine differently. So we've got to be responsive to that and acknowledge it.
So that's David Evans, Emerald City Medicinal Delivery Service and Clinic. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
You bet.
And now a message from the American Marijuana Growers Association.
Hi, I'm a farmer, and I work hard every day to grow high-quality marijuana, the biggest cash crop in these United States. I'd like to thank you for your support of U.S. marijuana policy. Because marijuana is illegal, I don't have to pay taxes. Even better, prohibition leads to artificially inflated prices, which means a better quality of life for me and my family, as long as I don't get caught. Just as importantly, your tax dollars support thousands of U.S. agents who work tirelessly to keep low-grade, foreign marijuana out of our country. So thank you, America. And remember, whether you're nauseated from chemotherapy or just in the mood for a nice cool buzz, choose the best pot in the world, American Homegrown.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
The second segment of Eugene Cannabis TV, we have a very special guest, another special guest here tonight. We have Elvie Muzyka. Elvie is one of the few federal medical marijuana patients, and also a resident of Eugene now. So we're lucky enough to have Elvie among us. So she's been on the show several times, and appreciate you coming in.
The pleasure is all mine. It's always good to see you and work with you, Dan. You're awesome.
You bet. Well, thank you. And I did a little bit of research on the internet to get some more info here in case I need to fill in some blanks on Elvie and stuff. And I come across an article that was really interesting. It actually talks about the history of the medical marijuana program and how it started and why, and it's really fascinating. But they're down to 4 patients of the original. How many?
Actually, when I joined the program in 1988, there were only 2 patients smoking, and one of them was Robert Randall, who was great at my trial. He's probably one of the main reasons I got it. I say one because my doctors with medical records from the Bascom Palmer Eye Institute certainly were persuaded. My attorney threatening to sue the government, right? And Robert there to be a witness to do it again to the government, kind of discouraged them from it and allowed me to join the program at last, because I also had the total support of my community. And I was in Florida, where I did not expect that at all. I went very public as soon as I got arrested for 4 plants. But the amazing thing was the result that I got from the general population, and they stayed with me through the trial, and they kept after the DEA and after the politicians and everyone until FDA and NIDA and everybody approved my protocol in particular. But I think one thing that we forget to talk about that I think is really essential for people to know is when people talk about the efficiency of medical marijuana, please remember this. Every person that ever joined the federal program, and at one time there were at least 18 of us, and I also know that there were 36 more that were approved by FDA, DEA, and NIDA, and they never received it. But every single person that tried to get into that program, as far as I'm concerned, is as legal as I am, for the simple reason that all of us had to have reliable doctors, which was very hard to do. What they call reliable is people they don't want to listen to. The ones that want to help us, that wasn't the ones they wanted to hear. But we had to have people in their corner who believed, as we did, that without marijuana, we were in big trouble. So it has to be the most reliable, the most efficient. Now, here's the part that you really should remember. How many medicines could you do this with? That these 3 big agencies demand of you, with about 65 pages, if not more, of paperwork hours that secretaries and doctors couldn't fill enough, because they had to prove that marijuana was the most efficient, the most reliable, and the safest part of our treatment. What other medicine do you know of that they could have made those demands of, that we could have met that? All of us definitely found that, all 3 of those things to be true. That's why we were approved. To me, it's amazing, because even aspirin, which would be the next safest thing I would think in the pharmacopoeia, kills at least 3,000 to 10,000 people a year. Cannabis never has anyone. There is no toxicity. There's nothing, unless somebody puts it in on purpose to kill us, it isn't going to happen. Cannabis never has killed anyone, and there's a 10,000 year history beginning with China and all the stuff that my government has definitely studied over and over again.
Yeah, it's like they say there's never been a cannabis death, and then I like to say that nobody's ever died from cannabis, but people, many people have died
Yes.
from cannabis laws.
7,000 on each side, on both sides of the fence, do die as a result of these rotten laws. You know what I think would be fun? To go through a little bit of the history, but look at it from what it really is, which is a joke. It is definitely the craziest joke that has ever been played on you as an individual, and whether you like marijuana or cannabis or hemp or any of it or not, there is absolutely no reason that you can go around thinking that these laws don't affect you, because you're paying, and you're paying dearly. Your resources are being squandered. Psychologically, I mean, you cannot live with this fear. This is your government. You're supposed to be looking up to the police for protection. You're scared of them. You don't get all that upset when they shoot one every week in Florida, because they're out there ramming doors, forgetting there's a Constitution and being very free with the Constitution. No constitutional rights for us. You're talking about environmental. Please, there's no reason you farmers can make a bundle making that hemp paper. That's a way better paper than that rotten stuff that we're destroying the ozone with. You cannot keep putting chlorine and acid up there. The chlorine doesn't go anywhere, makes the hole bigger. It is not safe to continue to do that. In case you haven't noticed, there is a cancer epidemic. Here, I thought I was going to be funny today, but I guess this isn't very funny.
No, but we've got to get the truth out. And
Right.
And by the way, back to the Federal Medical Marijuana Program real briefly, there's something
Sure.
in here that I found that's interesting. It says, due to the growing number of AIDS patients throughout the late 1980s and the resulting numbers of patients who joined the Compassionate IND program, the George H.W. Bush administration closed the program down in 1992. At its peak, the program had 30 active patients.
Okay.
So H.W. Bush, that's the guy.
I knew that.
H.W. We knew, yeah. I shouldn't be surprised. I guess the only thing that didn't surprise me, I figured George W. would be the one to do something stupid
he
like that.
definitely-
But
Well, you try to tell we are now terrorists. You are just
right, yeah.
sending all the money to Afghanistan for us to smoke pot here, right? We all do that, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like my poster I have at home. It says, "Fight terrorism, grow your own weed."
There you go.
Well, yeah,
I like
and
that.
yeah, and so Albie travels around and goes to a lot of shows, a lot of cannabis conventions, and speaks regularly. Highly sought after as a speaker. And I've been to Albie's place, and I like to tell my friends that going to Albie's place is like a walk into a museum. She has books, posters, mementos from events. I mean, she's got books written by people I never even knew of, and she has signed editions. So it's just it's a real treat. So we're so lucky to have Albie here. And like I said, she lives here. Now, she goes once a year to Florida to pick up her medicine. And
That's
you're
right.
leaving, I think, fairly soon to go get your
Yes,
medicine?
I don't get to do New Year's with you this year, but I do Christmas with you.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Well, I need to get a picture. Hopefully we'll get one up showing Albie with her medicine. It's a sight to see with her tin, with her joints. And the quality was bad, and then it got good, and now you say it's bad again, or not really? Or where is it now?
It was really interesting. For the first 11 years, I pretty much got by with mostly the government stuff because it did the job. It was about 4%, they say, THC. And it was okay. It was comparable to street Mexican weed in South Florida or whatever down there. But then they got crazy because I became very outspoken as an activist, and they started sending me the worst stuff they could possibly send. And I'm sorry, but that just doesn't do a thing for my glaucoma. So then lucky for me, I was working in the Northwest, and I was finding out how wonderful, how you know how to grow pot way better than El Soli. I'll be glad to tell him that any day he asks.
That's right. Well, we got run out of time here, Albie, so thank
Okay.
you so much for coming in, and Albie will
welcome.
definitely be back. So we're going to end this segment. We'll see you next time.
All right.
If you're an adult who enjoys a good beer, there's a similar product you might want to know about. One without all the calories and serious health problems. Less toxic so it doesn't cause hangovers or overdose deaths, and it's not linked to violence or reckless behavior. Marijuana. Less harmful than alcohol, and time to treat it that way. For more information, visit marijuanaissafer.org.
Welcome to the third segment of Gene Cannabis TV. We got our friend Jeremy here with us this evening, and you got Dank on this side. We've got to go through the Stop the Drug War headlines for the week of December 5th. You want to read the first one?
Final Uruguay a marijuana legalization vote set for next week. The Uruguayan Senate is expected to vote on and pass marijuana legalization next week. That's the last vote needed for Uruguay to become the first country to end pot prohibition.
Yep, good news. That's definitely good news.
Yes, it is.
They'll be falling off one by one. United Nations Drug Policy Divisions aired. British publications have gotten their hands on a leaked UN document that reveals fundamental splits among nations as the international organization prepares for the UN General Assembly special session on drugs in 2016. Much, but not all, criticism of the status quo is coming from Latin America.
Chronicle Old Book Review, Narcoland. Annabelle L. Hernandez makes bold and well-documented claims about Mexican government complicity with the Salino cartel and Narcoland. It would be a real shocker if it weren't all too believable.
And the medical marijuana update is Arkansas Baptists reject medical marijuana, and so do some California communities. New Jersey's governor mouths off, and Illinois and Massachusetts communities move to regulate soon-to-arrive medical marijuana businesses.
This week's corrupt cop stories. There's something fishy going on in Florida. A former Arkansas police chief had a pain pill issue, and a veteran Philly cop lets family ties get the best of him.
And we have some daily news bits here. November 22nd, a California appeals court okays a local ban on medical marijuana grows. Costa Rica enacts a sentencing reform, and more. November 29th.
November 29th, and the Berlin and Bureau wants cannabis cafes. A Chicago proposes tough medical marijuana regulations. Kentucky officials hound the DEA about hemp, and more.
And for December 2nd, a Tennessee bill equates meth making with child abuse. There's dissent on drug policy at the UN, and India fights a drug menace, and more.
Well, meth production's a lot worse than making marijuana.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
It's not even in the same category. December 3rd, New Jersey's governor claims medical marijuana as a ploy. Yeah, right. Like they can't tell that everybody's benefiting from it. Vermont rules out a Naxaland pilot project. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I don't either.
Columbia's as FARC want decriminalization, and more.
And November 4th, some Denver city members don't know when to give it a rest. Some California U.S. reps want stiffer penalties for pot grows on public lands. The big dog speaks on drug policy. Ecstasy may be on the rise. Morocco holds a historic meeting on cannabis, and more. So that's so much for the headlines. That's the Stop the Drug War headlines at stopthedrugwar.org. Excellent organization and a great website. You can sign up for your headlines on that and receive them by email and get more details on the stories we just read. There are so many stories going on that we like to just scan through the headlines and just give you an idea of some of the things that are going on. The main story I wanted to cover this evening was I found this on the alternet.org website. This was dated November 21st. 4 magic phrases to use if cops stop you with pot. A lawyer's advice on how to assert your rights when it comes to drugs and the police. If you use pot, you're a criminal. This is true, according to federal authorities, even in Colorado and Washington, where the feds continue to outlaw cannabis. This is also true in California and other states that provide medical protection. This means the police not only have the right, but the obligation to try and stop you. Although state police cannot legally enforce federal law. Fortunately, you do not have to help them. The United States Constitution gives you the rights that protect you during police encounters. It is the job of the police to find evidence of a crime. It is not your job to confess or help them. They get paid quite well, so please do not do their job for them. Your job is to do and say the right things to protect yourself and defend your rights. So listen up. This is education that could save you some very serious problems. During a police encounter, the best case scenario is when you let go with a warning or simple citation. The worst case is you or someone you love will get hurt. No one should be the victim of police brutality, but it happens. Cops are jumpy. They are trained to be suspicious. Do not make any sudden moves when they claim were threatening. Be polite and respectful, even if the courtesy is not returned. Remember that police do not have the final word, and while they may be able to harass, intimidate, and arrest you, the real fight is in the courtroom before the judge and jury. But you must actually survive the police encounter first before you can win that battle in court. So that's a good point, very good point. To win that court battle, your lawyer needs to be able to prove the police acted illegally and that the evidence should therefore be thrown out. The goal is to get all the evidence tossed so that there is no case left against you. So let's go through the magic words real quick.
The magic words. What are the magic words, you ask? The first magic words can set you free. Simply ask, am I free to go? If they reply that you are free to go, then you are free to go. You may have to wait for the officer to finish the citation, but yes, you are free to go. If you are not free to go, then you must use other magic words.
So
I do not consent to searches. I want to remain silent. I want a lawyer.
And that's it. Those are the 4 magic phrases. So we're out of here, and we'll see you next year.